Sometimes you are left to wonder whether or not we're all just doomed, whether it's all over. My father, in a phrase that has annoyed me for a great number of years, talks about the fact that America's over. It's done. It's finished. It's complete. We lost. We tried. We failed, and that's it. And I'm like, yeah, but I still have kids to raise. So if you'll excuse me, I still have work to do. But man, there are times where you feel like it's all over because now with medicine, you got to wonder whether you're actually going to get care at all or somebody who is caring. There's a difference. Guys, welcome to the show presented by Americans for Prosperity, americansforprosperity.org, economic liberty, free speech. These are the good things. I came across a video. The video purportedly is Columbia Medical School and the Hippocratic oath that they give to new doctors, people entering the profession, do no harm, right? That's how we all think of it, is do no harm. You're going to put your best effort forward. You're going to try and take care of the patient the best you possibly can, right? You're not going to do anything you know is going to adversely hurt them, harm them in terms of, well, their medical care. That's different than whether or not a doctor says something and someone's like, oh, I'm offended by that. No one's trying to offend you. They're trying to understand what's wrong with you. But if that's the thing that matters more than the actual care, well, don't we have a real issue with the actual care? We do. We have a massive issue with it. Wokeness is a disease, and it's meant to divide. It's meant to destroy, whether you want to engage it as a conversation of Marxism, if you will, and cultural Marxism. The idea that equity is top of your list as opposed to the care needed for a patient. Equity anywhere is dangerous because the problem is they think equity means, well, it's all going to get equaled out. No, equity pushes everybody to the bottom. And life is not equitable. If we're talking about equal under the law, I'm in. I think you're in. We're all basically in, and we should be. But if we're talking about, as Vice President Kamala Harris has discussed, the equalizing of outcomes, we're in a hellscape. We're in a dangerous communist kind of place. The last thing we should want to do is equalize outcomes. We should want people who have certain skills and abilities to thrive in those skills and abilities. Yet we have schools that take away certain levels of honors programs because they don't want other students feeling bad because Tommy is good at math. Well, if Tommy's good at math, let Tommy roll, baby. Let Tommy take advanced courses and do all sorts of things. By the way, I don't know if Tommy's a boy or a girl. I don't know if Tommy's black or white or Asian or Hispanic. I don't care. I picked a name. You pick a name, put it in. It doesn't matter. In the world of equity, Asian students are told, hey, you've got the grades, you've worked hard, but we've got too many of, people who look like you over here at Harvard or one of the other Ivy Leagues. So we're going to go another direction because we got to make sure we've got all the right groups represented. Not the best students, the right groups. That's equity. And equity is bigotry. Equity is evil and wrong. And I am a believer that all the DEI positions across America should be done away with because it is the codification of this evil, of this bigotry, of absolute hate. And so this video comes. This video about, well, the Columbia Medical School going woke, and it starts like this.
We enter the profession of medicine with appreciation for the opportunity to build on the scientific and humanistic achievements of the past. We also recognize the acts and systems of oppression affected in the name of medicine. We take this oath of service to begin building a future grounded in truth, restoration, and equity, to fulfill medicine's capacity to liberate.
Medicine's capacity is to heal. Wouldn't that be it? I don't know what equity has to do with it. Now, if you want to argue that there have been moments in American history of some awful stuff, you're not going to get a disagreement from me. It'd be hard to disagree with the evil that is the Tuskegee experiments. It would be impossible to do. But the idea that medicine has done this is a very awkward statement, as opposed to, in that case, government doing that. Yet all these people are totally beholden to government. They love government. Government is their religion. Don't you know? You see, people can't be trusted, but somehow people in government can. That's pretty weird. We all know that people can be trusted. When people get to government, they get all messed up and corrupted. It's so strange. And you're like, well, if I went to Congress, or I went to the Senate, or I went for this position, would I get corrupted as well? It's a question that I ask myself. I take a look at the future. I take a look at things. I'm like, maybe there's a future for me somewhere along that lines. I don't know. But like, is that what's going to happen? Just going to get ruined and wrecked and destroyed? The doctor who isn't taking care of the patient and is working against the patient, working to harm the patient, well, that's a doctor you have to get rid of and probably throw in jail. The idea that medicine is based on the idea, all these doctors, all this training is based on the idea of hating your patient, madness. And equity in healthcare is a very peculiar concept, because equity in healthcare doesn't actually say you treat the patient as they need to be treated. You treat the patient as patients need to be treated. Now, some people would say, Tony, we're talking about how you talk to the individual patient, how you work with the individual patient. I would agree that certain patients get spoken to in a certain way and certain patients get dealt with in a certain way for a whole series of reasons that people won't talk about, cultural being a big one. The way you speak to me might not be the way you speak to another patient. Another patient might not be the way you speak to me. But if we're going to talk about the idea of care and that somehow the equity part comes first, that means the care part de facto comes second. And that can't work, but they're serious about it.
I promise to take care of my future patients by engaging in dialogue, listening to their lived experience, and tailoring my recommendations to their unique circumstances. I acknowledge the past and present failures of medicine to abide by its obligation to do no harm, and affirm the need to address systemic issues in the institutions I uphold. I promise to critically examine the systems and experiences that impact every person's health and ability to receive care. I vow to use this knowledge to uplift my patients and disrupt the injustices that harm them as I forge the future of medicine.
You're going to disrupt the harm? Best of luck with that. If you have a patient who comes to you, doctor, and the patient doesn't take their medicine, is there an injustice that's been done to them that the doctor is supposed to somehow undo? Go to their house and make sure they're taking their medicine every single day? Is this, for example, a way to deal with those injustices? The job of the doctor I want, is to take a look at my chart, to take a look at me and say, you know what? We think this is the issue. Let's go treat it this way. And I don't want them worrying about what happened to Jews in 1943 in Germany. Nor do I want them worrying about what happened to my grandparents when they got to this country, nor the Irish, nor people who are Black, or anyone else. I want them focused on, here's what I'm being shown. Here's what the chart says. Here's what I see in the patient. I think from my studies, this is the issue. As a matter of fact, let's get to studies. Well, what are they actually studying? I'm told, not being a doctor myself, that organic chemistry is brutal. I am told that it is the most brutal course in the world. There have actually been people who have protested, we shouldn't have to do organic chemistry. It's just too hard and it's unfair. I always thought organic chemistry was the way you separated the wheat from the chaff. You separated the people who really can be doctors from the people who are still bright, but maybe this isn't for them. And by the way, in medicine, maybe it's not for you. I can say that about a whole series of things. When you try out to be a Navy SEAL. Tryout's not the right word. Forgive me. It's just the only thing that came to mind at the moment. Watching videos on the thing, and people can correct me if I'm wrong. There's a bell. And you have the opportunity anytime to ring the bell and be like, I'm done here. This isn't for me. And it kind of hangs over you, right? It's this looming thing, the torture you're going through, the fight with yourself, never mind with the elements, never mind with other things. It can all go away. All the pain can go away. All you have to do is ring this bell and it goes away. You have to announce to the world that you're not capable of doing this. I always thought that was fascinating because some people are not meant to be SEALs. Some people are not meant to be doctors. Some people have skill sets and some people don't. And some people can fight through the pain and some people can't. And that's not a bad thing. I don't want to equalize this. So when I take a listen to how they're engaging a commencement exercise, I have to ask myself, what the hell did these people do in their studies? How were they being taught? Were they being taught how to deal with, well, you see this and it means that, and here's a contraindication and here's a this, or were they taught now? When you see this, you have to ask yourself, how were they oppressed? When I'm seeing my doctor, I don't want them to care about any level of oppression. Well, Tony, you're just a white guy. What do you know? You're telling me that there's a Black patient, an Asian patient, a Hispanic patient out there saying, hey, listen, before you take care of this serious issue that can kill me in an hour, talk to me about my feelings. I don't believe that to be true. I would go a step further. If it is true, well, then I guess my father was right and we're doomed. But medicine looks doomed. And this has been going on for a while. I went back just to check some headlines. Med schools are even more woke than you think, and your care is at risk. That's from November of 2022. This was a Daily Caller. Med school went woke after pressure from a creditor. This is a crazy story because check this out. These groups, these accrediting groups, hold the power over medical schools regarding their accreditation. And over there at the University of Utah School of Medicine, responses to findings reflect the desire to live up to those organizations' woke agendas. So this group found that, University of Utah Medical School, you're not doing enough of this. You don't have enough of that. What are we going to do about this? They take their accreditation and they say, we'll hold it over you. And then we'll take our ideology and it'll be the thing that's being held over you, therefore moving the strings. And you'll do what we tell you to do. Otherwise, you won't be a med school anymore. As Laura Morgan points out, this further promotes ideology ahead of quality medical education and race, ethnicity or sex over hiring the most qualified faculty and staff. This is the fear. And we are living it, 100% living it. This was the Wall Street Journal back in 2022. Medical education goes woke. Future doctors will be obliged to learn how health relates to systems of oppression. And that's exactly what's happening in this video, purportedly from Columbia Medical School.
I promise to self-reflect diligently, to confront unconscious prejudices, and to develop the skills, knowledge, and character necessary to engender an inclusive, equitable field of medicine. Let us bow our heads in recognition of the gravity of this oath. We swear to faithfully engage with these ideals and obligations for the ongoing betterment of medicine and humanity. It is now my honor to present the class of 2025. Please turn around to your families and friends.
Now, the reason I questioned when this was from, because first, the proctor there is wearing a mask, and then the people in the crowd are wearing masks, and they're all 6 feet apart. I'm like, is that recent? And then I'm like, well, it is Columbia, so it's New York, so everything's possible. Freddie said it almost sounds like a cult the way the woman's talking. Yes, that's absolutely accurate, Freddie. Because it is. This is the acknowledgement that engaging in medicine is not the thing that matters. Wokeness and ideology first, ideology always. Oh, you know where I was going with that. That's what they believe. They believe in this evil, in this hatred, in this bigotry. And we should be clear, it's more than in just medicine. Did you check out Secretary Buttigieg the other day?
To work with your contractors, to work with your community colleges on building a workforce that reflects the community. We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, doing the good paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
Right.
You can build community wealth that will help close wealth gaps in this country if we can tear down those barriers. But that happens at the delivery level.
So the problem is there are too many white people working construction. Jordan Peterson does, I think, one of the great jobs in discussing this. When you talk about gaps and you talk about equality and you talk about people in the workforce, specifically when we talk about women in the workforce, why aren't there women in this job? Why aren't there women in that job? And he says nearly 100% of the bricklayers are men. How come you're not pushing for women to be bricklayers? I'm cribbing Jordan Peterson there. I'm paraphrasing. I hope he doesn't get angry. I hope I have the spirit of the conversation he's having. When we talk about these things, or when they talk about these things, they never talk about these things in totality. They talk about these things in these weird, specific pockets. You want the jobs to be local. Sure, I can see that. But you want the job to get done as well. If your argument is there are too many white construction workers, I guess one can ask how many people applied to be construction workers. And then you can ask what skills they have in being construction workers. Now, if you want to then go down the road and prove utilizing data that you don't have enough black construction workers because they were never trained to be construction workers, I would tell you there's a tremendous amount of job openings right now and people can go and gain those skills. What if you had an application, you needed 100 construction workers, you need 100 construction workers, and 100 people apply for the job, and 87 of them are white, and 13 of them are black? Do you not hire the 87? Does the job not get done because you only have 13 black construction workers, so therefore you can only have 13 white construction workers, and you have to do the job with a quarter of the staff that you really need, a quarter of the employees you really need, so the job takes not 4 times as long, but much, much longer than that? Is that the equity world that these people want? If you said to me just the other way, 100 people apply for the 100 construction jobs, 87 of them are black and 13 of them are white, do you now go to 74 black applicants and say, sorry, we can't hire you. We only have 13 white applicants, so we're only going to hire 13 black applicants because that's equity? That's insane. That's mental. But if I utilize their methodologies, their thought process, their attitudes, their theories, and I take it to the end, I take it to that final step, this is exactly what they mean. Who wants to live that way? Who's better off? The answer is absolutely, positively no one. So I asked the question, have the woke doomed medicine in America? And my answer is they're doing a pretty damn good job of it. This is frightening stuff. Now, if you want to know what's really hurting medicine in America, we don't have nurses. We don't have nurses. They have left the profession. They've been pushed out because they were heroes the first year of COVID. And then you told them, oh, you're not getting vaccinated. You are going to kill grandma, which was a lie. And then they haven't been back to the job. And you have people like Governor Kathy Hochul of New York who still won't bring them back. The lack of nurses means the lack of sharing of institutional knowledge, passing things down, which is how culture has always grown and evolved. And when you don't pass that down, you have nurses who don't necessarily know what to do. They're learning on the job, and people's lives then get risked because there's knowledge they could have gotten that they don't have. Now you have doctors doing more work that isn't necessarily the work for doctors if we want actual efficiency from doctors, and therefore less patients get seen and more people die. But then you have another problem. Well, if you're going to hire the nurses, you got to have the right amount of this nurse, right amount of that nurse, right amount of another nurse. And if you don't, we may take away your hospital accreditation because you don't have the right mixes. All in the guise of equity or diversity or some other crap that means nothing to the patient who wants to live to see tomorrow. Yeah, medicine's in a bad place, because medical schools are failing medical students and therefore failing society by focusing on the wrong damn things. Their ideology does the harm. They are the ones doing the harm, violating that Hippocratic oath. I didn't think it was so hard to figure that one out, because it seems to me it's pretty easy to understand that. Bad spot that medicine is in. This is Dreaded Rose. If we're all equal, it'd be horrible. I prefer being around people who know more than me so I can learn. Well, yeah. And you may know more than them on something, and they may have a skill set, and you can have a skill set, and that's the way it goes. If we were going to really engage equity, what do you do with tall people? All of a sudden, you realize that Harrison Bergeron from Kurt Vonnegut is a really good story, a frightening, evil story that is absolutely coming to life. Harrison Bergeron. Oh, I'd go read it. There's a short film version with Julie Haggerty that's really, really worth watching. Am I concerned? Damn straight I'm concerned. And, well, I only hope you are as well. I appreciate you guys being here with me, being here, being a part of this. And my thanks to Americans for Prosperity, AmericansForProsperity.org, economic liberty and free speech. Good stuff. Go to Rumble. Subscribe on Rumble if you would. I'd greatly appreciate it. We got to build there like a mother. We got to build fast and quick, and share this video everywhere. And of course, get on over to Locals, TonyKatz.locals.com, and join what it is that we're doing over at Locals. Man, I'd appreciate the support tremendously. I will catch you guys tomorrow